Hey, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all in the comments section there. Nice to see you. Yes, welcome. Welcome to the Evie show by Ludicrous Feed. And today is the 24th of July, 2024. It feels like ages since we've been on air, but it's so nice to be back after a bit of a break. And yeah, nice to see you all commenting away in the live chat. So we'll get to you guys very shortly. But first, I want to thank our sponsors, as always. Carloop, data to empower Australia's EV revolution. And of course, from Carloop is our good friend Riz and co-host for tonight. Hello, Riz. How are you? Haven't seen you in ages. How's things?
Hey Tom, good to be back on, and yeah, we'll look forward to hearing what you've been up to, seeing some of the videos come out, and yeah, there's so much excitement, Formula One, and a whole lot more. And I've been trying to, hold the fort while you've been gone, Tom. So we've got a lot to chat on.
That's right. Lots to chat about, as always, Riz. Yes, had a great time with the family over in the United Kingdom and a bit of Singapore as well. So yes, make sure you check out my videos. Dropped 3 of them, I think, in total. One of the premium economy experience on the way there on Singapore Airlines, and then the Formula One itself, which was awesome, and then our road trip around the UK, 1,400 miles in the Hyundai Ioniq 5, with thanks to Hyundai for loaning us that car in the UK. That was fantastic, and what a great charging experience it was too in the UK. So check those videos out. Any questions you got, please drop them in the comments section tonight. Let's say hello to some of our regular viewers as always. We've got Murray S. Hello, Murray. Nice to see you there. Surely it really has been a long time between shows. Feels like ages. Hello, Jason. Nice to see you as always. Thanks for your tags on X. Really appreciate that. All your posts that you tag me and Riz on. Hello, Oz Screamer. Hello, Steve P. Hello, Wayne Richardson. Hello. Yes, welcome back, Tom and Riz. It's great to be back. Thanks, Wayne. And yeah, and here we go. Wayne says, was in Fortitude Valley at BYD a few weeks ago. Took some pics of the YangWang U8 they had there, but couldn't figure out how to send them to you, Tom. That's all right. Send them to me next time, tom@ludicrousfeed.com, or you can tag us on social media as well. Love to post them for you next week if possible. Yes, Murray S. saw a Ford Mustang Mark E charging at a local charger in Upper Coomera in Queensland. That's great. Hello, Andrew, and hello there, Richard. Richard, nice to see you. Greeting all from Melbourne. The frogs are croaking, and the Tom and Riz show is back. Yes, we are back. Great night indeed. Hello, SWS. Hello, Jez. Nice to see you. Yes, we're back. We're back. And Lewis, hello there. Don't you hate it when your drive-through order has the chips missing? Don't you hate that? Go back and get it. Yep, don't let them forget that. And yeah, Jez asked, how was the fish and chips? Yes, the fish and chips was good. Good. I had to have fish and chips in the UK. Can't leave without that. Richard asked, how are we going to talk about the SU7 Ultra? Yes, we will, Richard. Don't worry, we'll get to that shortly, later in the show. Hello, Stan from Kangaroo Island. Yes, welcome back indeed. Hello, and Aaron, welcome as well. Thank you very much. And hello, Jean. Yes, back watching the live shows, no problem. And hello, Grandpa. Nice to see you. Yes, it was a great race seeing Lewis Hamilton win at Silverstone. Couldn't ask for more, really. Hello, Scott from Lake Macquarie. Yes, thank you very much for your contribution for the show tonight, which we'll get through later on. So, hello, everyone. Nice to see you. 74 viewers in, about 5 minutes into the show. So, fantastic. Riz, lots to get through. Let's start with a post from our good friend Rahul, who used to be on the show. Of course, I think he also went to the UK for a holiday, and he talks about a congestion charge, which we know London has had for the last 2 decades. But what's great is that the congestion charge is exempt for EVs as of now, basically. So I had a Hyundai Ioniq 5, which is an EV, of course. Was able to drive through London without incurring the charge. And a lot of the cities in the UK, including London and Edinburgh in Scotland too, has this low emission zone, Riz. So, you must be compliant with the low emissions standard to be able to drive through these areas without incurring a charge, which is great. Would you like to see this in Australia, Riz, like through Sydney and Melbourne? Wouldn't that be good?
It needs to happen. I mean, for those that have lived in Melbourne or been in Melbourne, the Burnley Tunnel, I think I've said it before on the show as well. Any politician that wants to know what's really going on and why we need to switch to electric vehicles needs to go through that tunnel, because basically you suffocate yourself before you get out on the other side. It's we need zones like these where they're encouraging cleaner vehicles. Fingers crossed we'll get something like that, and hopefully it also will encourage some of the regulations around our inner cities to allow for more micro cars as well. So yeah, thanks for sharing, Raul.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Riz. Yeah, Sydney's the same. Like the M5 East Tunnel, like it's just atrocious. Some of the EVs now, like the Hyundai and EGMP platforms, when you drive through some of these tunnels, they actually block the vents, so it recirculates the air in the car automatically for you, which is a great feature. And some of these big smokestacks, you think, well, we may not need them one day, because if we go EV, then obviously there'll be no tailpipe emissions. So, yeah, great to see cities like London and Edinburgh with these low emission zones. Hopefully, we'll see them in Australia too one day.
Tom, you remember our time in China, right? And coming back, one of the most common questions that I get asked anyway is, how was the air quality? And we thought the air quality was pretty good in those cities there because of EVs, thanks to EVs and electric buses, and basically all transport is pretty electrified. So maybe that's what cities like London and many other cities like Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, we need to encourage the same thing to happen here. Otherwise, we'll sort of get stuck in the past.
Absolutely, yeah, you're right, Riz. Like, I have been to China 20 years ago, and Shanghai was pretty smoggy. But when we were there, Riz, in when was it, June this year, it was pretty good, right? And I'm sure the EVs contributed to some of that, cleaner air, where you can walk around. The streets are quiet, much cleaner. Yeah, air's as good as it is here in Sydney. I'm sure in Melbourne as well. So good point there. And Jason says that my BYD Seal kept turning on the air purifying when my daughter's friend was vaping. She had the window down. There you go. That's one benefit of the purification system in some of these new EVs. So that's great. Andrew says the congestion charge might be more palatable if the money raised is quarantined for public transport infrastructure. Yes, I guess there's got to be some transparency for sure in what public funds are used for. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Wayne. You've just sent me through some pics of the YangWang. So actually, I might find some way to show them a little later on. So thanks, Wayne. Appreciate that. Yeah, cool. All right, well, let's keep going. So, Riz, bit of a plug for you with being a sponsor of the show, Carloop. Richard also works for Carloop, of course. He says, from humble beginnings, Australia's EV charging network has exploded over the last few years. So this little video here shows at Carloop the data that you guys are producing, showing how much the infrastructure has improved over the last few years.
Yeah, that's the travel score. It sort of highlights, how far we can actually travel, and the darker the purple is, the better the charging infrastructure is getting. And we've sort of mapped pretty much every street and town in the country as the chargers are coming online. How easy is it to get around? So things are really starting to look quite good along the East Coast, and even that corridor between, I guess, South Australia and WA is also improving. Yeah, really, really cool to see. And we hope that those circles just get darker and darker so that it's seamless for people to travel.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to see that density improving for sure. So I guess now we need to fine tune these areas and make sure the charging experience is good for EV owners moving forward. But we appreciate that, Riz and Richard and the rest of the team at Carloop, what you guys are doing, really helping the transition with this, with data. Data is king. We know that. So it's really important. So thanks, Riz.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, I've got pictures here from Wayne that he was talking about with the YangWang, Riz. So let's see if I can get these up. Here we go. So that's a side-on shot of the YangWang U8. And then this one as well. There you go. These really are behind-the-scenes stuff. Thanks, Wayne. What a monster. Could this compete with like the what is it? The ZEEKR
009?
99? Yeah, exactly. That we saw in China.
It's priced higher than the 009. So if we go off price, then it's probably this is the real high net worth individual sort of vehicle in China at the moment. It's taking sales from like the big BMWs, the Range Rovers, and the Mercedes and the rest. But yeah, looks cool. Just fingers crossed we get a fully electric version of these. That'd be awesome.
That's for sure. Thanks, Wayne, for sending that through. Really appreciate it. And we know our friend Richard did a trip through the WA charging network, and he says the difference since my Around Australia trip at the end of last year are insane. So good to see. Yeah, even someone like Richard has done so many miles around Australia that it's improved even since then. So that's great to hear. And Jeanette says, speaking to NRMA people installing fast chargers in Monto, Queensland, they're really excited to get the A3 fully charged. That's great. Excellent. Yeah, Jeanette says, look at that bug catcher at the front. I think she's talking about the U8 again. Yeah, the grill, hey? Interesting. And again, Riz, you guys are doing a charging summit, I believe, very soon for industry.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Yeah, so we've got we did one about 6 months ago. Some of our viewers may remember that was focused around fleets and councils. We thought at that time in Victoria in particular, that's who needed a lot of encouragement to get started. Because our state government is a bit low on cash when it comes to spending on things like zero emission transport. We've sort of taken that last couple of months to plan another one, and this time we're focused around property groups, retailers, car parks along major highways, those sort of companies. We talk about the big supermarkets, they all need to come on board to install charging infrastructure, so wherever we are, we've got a plug to be able to charge. And this sort of summit is focused for those organizations and people working in them to give them a better understanding of what's happening. So that's on August 7th in Mulgrave, which is southeast of Melbourne, close to Monash University. At the moment, we're sort of got 50% off on the tickets, and that's mainly to cover the costs. So we can, run more summits to encourage more EV chargers in the ground and hopefully help everyone transition.
Yeah, that's great, Riz. Yeah, so if you really, want information on stuff like what we just showed you on the graphic from Carloop and where we're up to with charging in Australia, this is the summit to go to. So thanks to Riz and Richard for putting this on. And it's just back to the UK experience I had. We, I charged a couple of times at shopping centres like the Tesco or the Sainsbury's, which is their big chains over there, and they had fast DC chargers in their car parks. We're talking like not just two, we had like a whole row of them, 6 to 8, which is fantastic. You could just plug in and do your shop and come out, you're charged fully, which is so convenient. Not just DC, but AC chargers as well. So this is the kind of stuff we need to see in Australia, like, Woolies, Coles, their car parks. It's just a no-brainer, I think, particularly for inner city areas where you may not necessarily have off-street parking. This is where this kind of thing might be useful.
And that's the aim, to encourage those organizations to start thinking about it, because it's a lot. We know, we've had people like James from on Charge installing fast chargers, and he spoke to us about sort of the grid connection issues and the challenges to get that sort of power to run DC fast chargers. If all supermarkets and retail stores and where people park their cars while they're at work, whether it's at work or at train stations, we need basically every car park to have a plug there. So it makes it more convenient. And like you said, Tom, with your UK experience, very seamless. You duck into the shops and you come out and you've got half your battery back. You're there anyway, and it's hopefully all the big supermarkets and other chains start to pay attention, and that's the intention of our summit this time around.
Yeah, that's right. And I've got to say, look, Chempower's not paying me to say this, but Chempower was probably the easiest one to use and the most user-friendly, because look, they didn't need apps, any of them, because I could just tap and go with my phone, with my credit card. And that's one of the best things about charging in the UK. A lot of them have this tap and go facility. It's a bit cheaper with an app, but as a foreigner, as a tourist, I didn't really care for an app. I just wanted to quickly charge. But the Chempower experience, you could just scan the QR code on the screen, and then you could walk into the shop with your monitor, how fast you're going and how much time left there was. So I thought that was the best monitoring experience. So hats off to Chempower for that facility. So yeah, you're right, Riz. We need these everywhere. There's Woolies at every street corner, Coles at every other street. So I think that's the way to go.
For sure. And Chempower, if you are listening, we are looking for sponsors on this show. So do reach out to Tom. Shameless plug there, Tom. We got to make sure that we're supporting the good work that's being done here.
Thanks, Riz. Richard says the CNSA used the U8 to pick up the return capsule from the Chang'e 6 moon mission in Inner Mongolia. So that's good. That Carl we just showed earlier, the U8. So thanks for that. Yeah, Jason says EV is going to be plug and charge. So I did demonstrate that today for you members of the channel. You might have seen that. I dropped that for members only this morning. So it'll be available tomorrow for everyone to see. Great experience there. Look, again, Evie doesn't pay me to say this, but I think with this plug and charge experience, the Autocharge that Evie have got available now across their network, I think they could be very well up there with Tesla. It's a big call, but being able to rock up and plug your car in and just leave and not have to worry about an app or anything like that, that is the gold standard, Riz, I think, for EV charging.
Oh, definitely, Tom. I mean, I'll let the viewers see that video when it drops tomorrow, but just how seamless that experience was very cool. And like you said, it's sort of that's the benchmark. And we're not saying it, because we're Tesla fanboys or anything like that. It's more along the lines of for every EV, we should be able to charge, without having to go through downloading apps and handing out credit card details to every single, app that's out there. And I think with this sort of technology, like tap and charge, it's going to make charging great again.
That's right. Yes, indeed. We must make EVs great once again. And charging
That's
is,
it.
50% of the experience, I've got to say. You got to, it's as good as it is having a charge at home. Sometimes you don't have that luxury. You still got to make the DC charging experience a good thing. So Jason makes a good point. He's going to Sydney in September and looking for motels with overnight charging. That is awesome. If you can do that, then that helps a lot. Not having to find a public charger. If you've got an Airbnb or a hotel with downstairs charging, that makes your life a lot easier for sure. You wake up every morning with a full charge. All right, let's keep going for now. And what show, Riz, would it be without a bit of Cybertruck, sort of news? So this is rapper Meek Mill releasing a song called Cybertruck. Here we go.
Look, it's not PG rated, that song, for anyone that's listening. So if you got kids in the car, don't play that song. But look, it's happened. The biggest of the biggest are starting to get multiples of them. So apparently there's no preferential sort of purchasing of these trucks. It's first in, best dressed, or could be their manager that knows people in the streets. So they've got him, and interesting to see in pop culture. This vehicle is going to be up there in Melbourne. We've had it now for a couple of weeks. It was in Richmond, and then it came to Mulgrave. And now, for anyone that's interested, it's at the Doncaster Shopping Centre, which is east of Melbourne. So feel free to get over to Doncaster Shopping Centre to check it out. Just cool. I can't wait to sort of walk past a set of shops, just see that as you turn a corner.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually sitting in one that's mobile. I've asked Tesla many times, please at least let me sit in one as you drive it through somewhere. But no, they're very, very sort of closed doors with that. They're just allowing people to look but not touching even. So anyway, we'll see if we can get one mobile in Australia to sit in. Speaking of someone who's fast, big, and agile, this is Shaquille O'Neal. He was just, he destroyed the NBA scene when he was actually playing. He's just a big dude. But here we go. Shaq also got a also got a Cybertruck. And the caption is right. He is one of the few people on Earth that makes the Cybertruck look small. He's a big boy. He's a big man, and the Cybertruck's not a small car, right? So there you go. Good on you, Shaq. And moving on, staying with sports. So ESPN posted to their 66 million Instagram followers who's got the best Cybertruck. We've showed a lot of these on the show, Riz, haven't we?
We have, like that white one there.
Nice. So that is CyberTruck Watch for this week. Let's move on with something a bit more serious for now, and that is, of course, the Australian EV uptake trends. And I've been away most of July, but we got figures early this month for June 2024. So Riz has got his chart as always. So thank you, Riz. Take it away.
So we've got over 200,000 EVs now, up 33% since December, which was 6-7 months ago now. big increase. We're averaging around 9 to 10,000 EVs a month. If you take sort of the light commercial vehicles out, such as your utes, that were close to like 15%. So looking at this trend, I think we'll get over 250,000 electric cars by the end of this year. So yeah, good to see, and I think all the good work that you're doing here, Tom, and all of our viewers, and talking to our families and friends, and sharing the benefits of EVs and fighting the FUD, it's working. And I think even the rest of the industry is starting to understand, including FCAI, who release the stats and figures on the vehicle market, are now starting to go a bit easy on EVs now that they know that there's sort of fuel emission standards coming in as well. So yeah, I think the whole industry is headed in the right direction.
Yeah, that's right. We need to understand, EVs are definitely here to stay. Just again back to the UK experience, they're a bit further along the track than we are, but basically every road stop, every petrol station you drive on the highway, there's going to be EV chargers as well, not just one or two. Again, a whole bank of them, like 15. And what stood out for me was that GridServe was one of their, in fact, probably the major player in the UK. A lot of them were all GridServe branded, and they all worked, and they all we not just Teslas, but we had a whole different variety of EVs charging and turning over regularly. So it was working quite well. And it's just a normal thing. People just accept that EVs are part of the infrastructure and landscape there. So, and in time, hopefully we will start to see that in Australia as well. This was published early this month. Obviously we were away, but Tesla again leading the charge in EV sales in June, and what are we? 8.3%, I think it was for June for 4 EVs. Yeah. So sort of around that 8 to 9% over the last few months in Australia.
June's typically a very big month for the whole vehicle market. We had nearly 120,000 cars sold. End of financial year push that usually gets there. But as the year sort of settles again, I think people are going to start to consider electric vehicles a bit more because there's more brands coming to the market. EVs are cheaper now than what they were even in the beginning of the year. We've seen the big price cuts. And interestingly enough, there were the Kia EV5. There were about 40 of them that were registered in June, but apparently the car's been delayed.
Yeah, okay. I did reach out to Kia and ask for a media loan, but the launch has been delayed. So where are these cars, Riz? Just in dealers at the moment? Or?
Possibly in the dealers, possibly going out and showcasing it to the fleet customers that, hey, this car is coming and you could have it. So I guess we'll find out. But yeah, that car has been delayed. That is coming from China for the Australian market. And I also learned something new today. Cupra is also bringing their next electric car called the Tavascan, which is an SUV. It's priced higher than a Model Y. They haven't announced the pricing in Australia yet, but that's also built in China for the Australian market.
Interesting. Will that be an LFP battery, I wonder, if it's coming from China?
I would say so. I'm not sure what I don't think they've officially announced stuff yet, even globally, but apparently the Australian launch has been brought forward by a couple of months to customer deliveries before the end of this year. So hopefully by that stage, we'll have Kia EV5, XPENG G6, ZEEKR X, Smart, and I guess Cupra and a few others bringing in, and hopefully Volkswagen as well, if they finally lift that rock and see we've got EVs out here. So hopefully we'll be able to see a whole lot more, many more options, means people have choices, and it's only heading in one direction.
Yeah, well, I did see a lot of ID3s and a few ID4s on my trip in the UK as well. So it's definitely more prevalent in Europe for sure. And obviously, I didn't see that many Chinese cars. Well, that's not true. I saw a few MG4s, but I think I only saw one Atto 3 during my whole time. So we definitely get the luxury of cheaper, more affordable EVs from China here in Australia that they don't get in Europe. I'm sort of heartened to see quite a few Volvo EX30s, 420 sales, and that I'm seeing them on the road as well here in Sydney. So I'm curious to see whether it will be sustained, Riz, or is that just a sort of quick purchase for the people who really wanted that car? Like, will we see that sustained as time goes on?
would like to think that's going to happen. The challenge that Volvo has had, not so much Volvo in Australia, but globally, the car's had a few software issues. Um, I still think this is sort of the first group of, I think they had nearly 2,000 orders for them. So maybe it's the first set that's going in. And then there's also competition coming. As we know, we were in China with ZEEKR, and ZEEKR X is a slightly more spacious car on the inside. Fairly premium, has a screen behind the steering wheel, has quite a few things going for it. So if it's priced similarly, like in Europe, in some markets, the EX30 and the ZEEKR X are sort of priced similarly as well, then I guess consumers have more choices as well. So obviously, Volvo is a very trusted brand in Australia with lots of dealers. So Volvo has that going for it.
Yeah, that's right. I've got a loan of the EX30 next month as well, so I'll try and do a long drive with that, hopefully to Canberra or somewhere, maybe for a day trip just to test its capabilities. So that's the sales for June 2024, and look, GWM Aura is still hanging in there as well, 114 sales, making that list. Let's take a few comments from the audience. Thanks for watching, guys. 127 viewers in, almost at the halfway mark. Let's have a look. So Richard's saying the Tesla guy at Doncaster said they drove it from Mulgrave up to Doncaster. A pity that we could not catch a ride. Riz, I'm surprised you didn't have your running shoes on, hanging up the back there.
Oh, look, it's too fast. It's too fast. Maybe if I don't know, look like Shaquille O'Neal, and maybe if I was promoting sports bet or something like that, or points bet, then maybe, it could have been me, but it wasn't. And I'm surprised nobody spotted it. So
they must have stealth mode or something, because this thing's been moving from city to city and from showroom to showroom, so surely someone's caught a glimpse of it moving. But anyway, good to see. Yeah, and we've got hello Tassie EV, nice to see you. That's all right, better late than never. Yeah, Jason's saying they've got some EV mining vehicles. Yep, less maintenance, easy to fuel, recharge. That's correct. Enzo's asking, how do you sign up to EV Tap and Go? So at the moment, it's only to a select few. Reached out to EV this week. They said it's more for high volume customers, so people who charge at EV a lot. So don't worry, they'll roll it out to the rest of the fleet later on. So, but there's a video dropping, like I said, tomorrow, showing my easy use of this EV Autocharge function. So stay tuned for that if you're not a member. Tassie EV says, motorway services you stopped at, they were amazing, lots of charges and with enough power to support them. That's correct. Yeah, no problem at all. I think I encountered one broken charger in my 2 weeks there, so I was pretty impressed. And these road stops are fantastic, very clean, lots of shops, well maintained. So yeah, leaves a lot to be desired here in this country. So hopefully we'll see them improve. We need someone like Grid Servers to come in and shake things up a little bit, right?
Oh, fingers crossed if we get, a few of those, and also some of the local networks are also growing as well. So, I mean, I guess the site that, you were at with your EV video as well, looked, pretty clean. So it's going to be, hopefully we maintain that standard and improve some of those sites where we think that, we need more amenities and for them to be just clean.
We know high-speed rail is probably not going to come to Australia, so we can improve the road trip experience, particularly with EVs. Then, we don't need that high-speed rail. We can just drive, clean EVs with nice stops in between to charge the car. So,
Tom, we don't even have a train to the airport here in Melbourne, so
That's
forget
true.
about high speed. We just want a slow tuk-tuk sort of speed train to get to the airport and back. So, yeah, utopia.
That's right. Aaron Croft says ABC Media did a watch segment on anti-EV, so that's true. Have a look at that. That's quite a good watch there. Hello, Scott. Nice to see you. And Tassie EV says the Tavascan, the Cooper Tavascan, yeah, because it's VW based, isn't it? Yes, ID3 or 4, I think. No, ID4 platform, I think. Yeah. So hopefully they sort their software out. The Cooper Born's a lovely looking vehicle, so hopefully Tavascan will be a similar caliber as well. I'm sure it will be. Yep, Oscreamer says Lotus brought forward their sedan as well. Yep, not as affordable, but nice looking vehicles. Riz, as we found out in Hangzhou when we were there.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Tassie Evie says the Enyaq will be good. Yeah, actually, that Enyaq, the Skoda Enyaq was the official car of the Silverstone F1, so I got to see some of those rolling around the circuit. They look pretty cool as well. And it's good to see EV charging areas around the F1 too, being a petrol powered motorsport. So it's seeping in. Midge says mate has one of the EX30s. He loves it. That's good. Good to see. And Scott says yes, IDs in Europe. It looks great on holidays. They do look all right actually. No idea why VW have missed the opportunity here. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I don't know, Riz, is it because I guess there's so many Chinese offerings here? They probably felt, they probably couldn't break in as much.
Well, when the Cupra Born was launched at the end of 2022, I asked the VW people, when is the ID3 coming? And they said, oh, not for a while. So, and they weren't wrong. We're still waiting. There's no
Still
ID3,
waiting.
there's no ID4, there's no ID5. ID7's launched in Europe. Apparently, it copied a lot of the styling out of the Tesla Model 3, and it hasn't been a success. In China, nobody really wants them anymore, and Volkswagen's dropping a fairly large market share there, as we have seen. It really was the people's car in China for such a long period of time, but because of the slow transition, nothing's happened. Like the ID3 in particular in China was being offered for under 19,000 US dollars, and in Europe the same car was twice the price. So they still couldn't move them in China. So interesting times, but Volkswagen now has multiple partnerships. XPENG in China, apparently Volkswagen engineers moved in and starting to work with XPENG engineers this week. And over in the US, they've just done a partnership with Rivian. So I guess it goes to show, as the audience was sort of mentioned earlier, software is what they're trying to get better at, and they haven't been able to be doing it very successfully internally.
That's right. In our time there, in the week we were there, I think Volkswagen's definitely a scarcity there. Not as common as we thought it would have been. They certainly have lost their touch there. So we shall see what happens. Matthew Gray says, curious to hear Tom and Riz's thoughts on BYD choosing not to remediate the Atto 3 charging hardware to be compatible with the V3, V4 superchargers. We will get to that very shortly. Matthew, got some news on that as well. So stay tuned. Let's keep going for now. Thank you for gifting all these memberships, guys. Thank you, Chewy. And I think, Grandpa doing one as well earlier, so appreciate that. And thank you, Anthony, for joining as well, the channel. Welcome. All right. Let's keep going for now. Question from Jez. What other tasty meals did you enjoy whilst on the road trip across the UK? You boys, Yorkshire pudding looked good. Yeah, he enjoyed that roast. I wanted to try some haggis. I have tried haggis before, but not this trip. The kids weren't too keen. I don't know. It's hard to find good food in Britain. Just to be honest, I mean, if you go in the shopping centres, there's some good sort of international flavors too. Like we had ramen and Korean barbecue even in York, as you might have seen. So it's good to have a global market where you can basically have any food you want anywhere in the world. So no, it's good. The food is all right. Couldn't complain too much. Yes, so let's keep going with the questions. Ray says, what was it like driving in the UK compared with Australia? I mean, what were the drivers like? Well, what's interesting, Ray, was that on the highways, there were a lot of speed cameras, particularly around roadwork areas, right? I'm not sure about Victoria, Riz, but in New South Wales, when there's roadwork, it's often not, the speed is not often complied with by drivers. People just sort of zoom through, which I find quite uncomfortable because you've got people on the road. But in the UK, you've got speed cameras very, very frequently. You can see on Waze, it's dotted with speed cameras. So because of that, people were far more compliant and driving at the speed limit, which is good to see, actually. The drivers were very, very polite, I thought, compared to sometimes what you experience here in Australia. So good question, Ray. Thank you.
Well, you remember our experience in China, Tom. I didn't see anyone speed.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people, people, bikes, and a whole lot of things trying to interact with each other on the road. There was a bit of honking, but it didn't look like anyone was trying to speed through any of those sort of motorways. So yeah, I guess more cameras is more enforcement, which I don't know. It's I guess does make people more polite.
Yeah, I mean, you force politeness, right? China's like the land of cameras. The cameras everywhere there, so yep, definitely. Peter says, how to take so many low volume niche EV models seriously? How many are designed to be easily mass produced? Yeah, good question, Peter. I guess, over time that'll be sorted out, right? Only the good ones survive, for sure. Let's keep going. Kangaroo says, the ID7 looks to be a fantastic car. Such a shame we don't get any VW products here just yet. Apart from the Cupra, of course. Cupra Born is a VW platform. All right, thanks everyone. Keep those comments coming. Yeah, isn't the main fare in the UK a curry? Yeah, I think so, isn't it? It's the official de facto national dish, the curry.
We still have a curry with Rishi Sunak's gone. Sorry, too soon.
Maybe in honor of Rishi going. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
I got to say the South Asian food in Britain was pretty good. I did enjoy some of that. So yeah, that's great. Were they renewable powered, those UK chargers? Yeah, I don't know. I think some of the signboards, you could see they said it's net zero or renewable energy. So I think, they're probably trying. Probably wind, I would think. There's not too much sun, even in summer when I was there. It didn't feel that warm, I gotta say. Jeanette says, the best Indian food I ever ate was in Inverness, Scotland. There you go. Right on cue. Thanks, Jeanette. Yeah, cool. All right, well, let's keep pushing on with what we've got to chat about. So, what's this about? This is... So Jim says, okay, Tesla continue to invest in Australia. So this is Pete Petrovsky. No official news as yet, but first reports are starting to come out of the new Tesla store opening in O'Connor, Perth, Western Australia next week. This will be a huge 5-acre site. Can't wait. So there you go. It's coming, Riz. WA's got its first.
Oh, that's exciting. And Pete's a big advocate for Tesla Owners Club in WA and EVs in general. So yeah, no, it looks like a big site. I haven't come across many sites as large as this here in Australia. I mean, I think Brisbane had a new one a couple of years ago. That was quite big, but yeah, this looks massive.
This is colossal. Yeah, it's good to see that expansion into the West Coast. So keep an eye on that one. If you are in Perth, yeah, keep those pictures coming. We'll try and show them as time goes on. Sticking with Tesla for now. So yeah, everyone's asking about the Model Y refresh, so-called Juniper, for the first time spotted earlier this month. So that's good, Riz. Probably, if you start to see leaked photos like this, we're probably 6 to 9 months away from production, I would think.
That's it, and maybe even sooner this time around. Now that they've, I think the factory would want to be moving closer to using the same headlights and all the other things. So, yeah, it would make production a whole lot simpler. So fingers crossed. That's if Elon said it won't happen in 2024. I think 1st of Jan is when the car will be launched.
Yes, we'll need to get guys like Nash to keep tagging Elon on New Year's Eve to ask, hey, what about tomorrow? What about tomorrow? Yeah, it'll come soon, I'm sure. Yes, apologies. That's not Tesla's first site. Yes, in Perth. So thank you for that, Andrew. But it's certainly a big site, as we saw. Very big. Wayne saying, was watching a chat between Fully Charged and Sandy Monroe. Sandy said the VW ID4 was the worst EV he'd ever driven. That's big call.
Yes, Sandy's not a big fan of that car. He's spoken about it a couple of times, and what he was expecting when they tore that car down and what they got, he just could not believe the lack of innovation in that car. I think maybe he was blown away by the Model Y and had probably torn that just before that one. But yeah, looking forward to listening to that podcast as well.
Yeah, Sandy's a huge Tesla fan, as we know, of course. Good question from Stevie. If the BYD Seal is as well received by consumers as the reports would indicate, why are their sales much lower than Tesla? Availability question. Riz, you could probably answer this one.
It's really interesting because the BYD Seal is an excellent car, right? It's an all-rounder, comfortable, more space in the back than the Model 3, and that's just the fact. It's not just me saying it. I think it's a brand building exercise. I think when people think of electric cars, they think of a Tesla, and I think a lot of the times, especially after recent price cuts, people are more comfortable with the Tesla charging network, and they just know those sort of things. And there's just so much more brand awareness because Tesla's been doing it for over 10 years in Australia now, right? I think BYD Seal would get there, but the rate of change at the moment is so much. We might touch on a new version of the car that was spotted as well later in the show. I just think that people are just not aware. When they think electric, they think Tesla, and by default, that's what happens. And the more Teslas, there are over 100,000 of them on the roads now. So people are seeing more and more of them, and they're getting more comfortable when they're going for a test drive for one, and they're just genuinely impressed, and that's what's converting to sales. I also at times feel that the software updates, Tom, as you've seen, are coming, which is great. I think once a quarter at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some of the Tesla software updates are, every couple of weeks at the moment. That constant improvement, people go and talk about it, tell others about it, and it just convinces those that are currently driving ICE cars to test drive one. So hopefully BYD builds that brand, and fingers crossed with things like, the new EV charging setup where plug and charge, and the new Seals can charge at the Tesla Superchargers as well, and more charging infrastructure and awareness is going to help BYD with those. But also people want SUVs, so maybe we're waiting for the Sea Lion 7.
Yeah, good answer, Riz. I agree with a lot of those points. And I think, yes, so Ozcreamer says availability and still rolling out dealerships, and probably a bit of skepticism from a new brand. Yeah, I mean, Tesla's got a huge lead, as Riz said. It's got 10-year advantage over every other brand, pretty much, including BYD. And Tesla is a juggernaut, the benefits of being the incumbent, for sure. First there, it's built a great reputation over the years in Australia. The service, not service, but the app where you can book a service is a great experience. The Supercharger network, the showrooms, the fan clubs, it's just there. That kind of security that people want with buying a new brand. They've built that over the last 10 years. BYD in Australia is still getting there. They've had a few issues. So there is that skepticism as well. So I think that time will tell. I think, it's a good product, the Seal, as I've shown you in my videos. BYD is a good brand, as we know, overseas and worldwide. So, yeah, give it some time. I think the sales will continue to improve for BYD. And Tassie says Gav in New Zealand loves the Seal, particularly one of the best cars he's driven for road tripping. I agree. And he actually said the suspension was butter smooth. That's his exact words. So I tend to agree. It's a very good drive. All right, let's keep moving at the moment. So, Riz, this is an article, I think, from The Driven. Elon Musk promises more affordable EVs as rival discounts take toll on Tesla profits. I thought Elon wasn't doing the Model 2, or is he talking about something else in this article?
There is the affordable cars that still, he spoke about it at the last earnings call that they are planning on bringing out. I think the focus still is the Cybercab, the robo-taxi. So if Tesla gets a bit of a foot in China with FSD and all the rest of it, it's a huge market over there for that type of product. But at the same time, I think they've reiterated that they'll be bringing out the more affordable model production early next year, built on the same Model 3 and Model Y production line, and it will use some of the elements from their future platform. So I guess we will see what this is like. But I'm just hoping the unveiling of these affordable models happens round about the same time when they have the Cybercab or the Robotaxi, which, if we know now, has been delayed from 8th of August to not sure when.
Look, Tesla's been banking on self-driving for a long time. It still is. That's what differentiates. Well, I guess that's what Tesla fans and people who look at the company, that's what differentiates Tesla from the rest. The fact that it's got the full self-driving in America that is being rolled out to some people. And that's what you buy Tesla for, generally speaking, and the Supercharger network, of course. It hasn't really done too much in the affordable space. These profits that have decreased is because of Chinese cars, because of the competition in the market at the moment.
100%. When we think about Tesla, pretty much half of their volume comes from Shanghai, right? If the company can make less than 1.8 million cars they made last year, Shanghai was capable of producing nearly 1 million of them. So the Chinese market is changing. There's more competition there. Having said that, Tesla's done remarkably well in such a competitive market. They're still, I think last month in China, the Model Y outsold the BYD Dolphin. Oh, sorry, not Dolphin, Seagull. So it's really interesting, right? There's a lot of commentary out there that Tesla's not doing great in China. And yes, they aren't doing as good as what they used to be doing back in the day. But there's a lot more quality competitive cars in China, as we've seen, Tom, more affordable as well. But people, somehow Tesla still manages to sell a whole lot of them over there. And that needs to keep going. What happens moving forward with the tariffs in Europe, and who knows what the political situation in the US turns into. If the tariffs are high in the US, Tesla wins that by default, because Ford, GM has all cut back on their sort of EV plans. GM was supposed to produce 1 million cars by the end of 2025. And now the CEO, Mary Barra, come out and said, oh, there's not enough demand, so we're not doing it. So they've given up before the race has even started. So it's all for Tesla to win in the US. Outside of that, Tesla needs to generate more demand. And it by bringing more affordable models, which, as we know, Tesla's good at software, they're good at superchargers, they're good at a lot of other things. If those things come in a format where we can buy a car for around between 35 and 40,000 Australian dollars, it's going to change the game in a big way.
Yeah, for sure. If they can plug this gap, this affordable space, Model 3 is affordable to an extent, but not playing in the same space as like, MG4s, GWM Aura, BYD Dolphin. That's the space that they need to really play in. Then yeah, it certainly could open the door for sure for them. All right, well let's keep pushing on. Someone did mention earlier about the Xiaomi SU7 Ultra. So let's chat about that. Speaking of Chinese cars, here we go. It's Xiaomi SU7 ultra fast 4-door sedan, 0 to 100 in 1.97 seconds. Top speed over 350 kilometers an hour. That is an amazing looking vehicle there, Riz.
I don't know. It looks like a Mercedes AMG GT. Looks like there's a bit of Porsche going on there. There's a bit of Lotus going on. There's a bit of Ferrari with that hood going on there. But it's Xiaomi, which is cool. Now, interesting thing about this car is they reckon this is going to be pretty much the same weight or a little bit heavier than a Model 3 Performance, which is ultra light, apparently full carbon fiber body on the outside. That's what they were showcasing in the prototype. Less than a week later, their CEO, who unveiled it, has come out and said that we will make a production version as well. It just won't be fully carbon fiber, which means it's likely to be heavier. Yeah. But that's still impressive figures.
Yeah, it's pretty good. 1.97, like that's pretty quick. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this vehicle for sure. Okay, moving on, more Chinese vehicles. So the BYD Sea Lion 07 with new E-Platform 3.0 to rival Model Y globally. So that's hopefully coming to Australia very soon.
It is. We have actually spotted one in Australia as well.
Yes, we have.
Covered under some sort of a camo and covers. But yeah, there it is. It's here. It's a matter of just spotting it at a charger and figuring out how fast it's actually charging.
Yeah, because they're saying that it can charge up to 250 kilowatts, right, with the new EVO3 platform.
Yeah, I think that between 240 and 250 is what they're saying. Could be faster. We know BYD with the Atto 3, they originally said it was 80 kilowatts, but we were getting 88 kilowatts at the chargers. So sometimes they underquote. We don't know if this is going to have the next generation BYD Blade battery. But yeah, it's exciting. What's quite unique about this car is usually like the BYD Seal was launched about 12 months before we saw any on the roads in Australia. So 12 months in China prior to Australia. So this car hasn't even been delivered to customers in China yet. And we're seeing one here. So potentially we will get to orders might open before the end of this year.
And we talked about the Seal not selling as many as we thought we would. Some people are waiting for this particular BEV, this Sea Lion 07, which is basically a Seal, like the Model Y is to the Model 3. It's the SUV version of the Seal. So this could be a very good seller, I think. People will look for SUVs. It's a huge part of the market here in Australia. So this is one to keep an eye on. Obviously, we've got the Sea Lion 6. We don't talk too much about that. It's a plug-in hybrid, but this is actually full electric vehicle. So I'm very curious to see, especially with the new platform as well. And speaking of the Seal, so this is an upgrade coming for the Seal. What's it called? The Seal 07 or Seal 7?
Naming.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in Shenzhen, but the naming convention is getting a bit confusing now. But anyway, we will see. Seal 7, or let's just call it 2025 BYD Seal. This car, bit of testing going on there. Fingers crossed it's going to have this new e-platform 3.0 Evo in it as well, with faster charging and a few other upgrades. So yeah, let's see how long before we sort of see it. Apparently in China, customer deliveries will happen this quarter. So before September, customers will have actual cars. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see more and more charging tests. We'll see more comparisons between the current Seal and this future Seal. I think we'll see this in Australia before the end of this year, because once BYD starts to produce them at mass, they're not going to try and do one for one market and another for another market.
And I'm seeing that they're doing a lot of testing with LiDAR as well. So hopefully they're really upping their game with their ADAS and to some degree autonomy as well. Because as I've shown, the ICC in the current Atto 3 and the Seals just doesn't quite cut it. It's got issues. So hopefully, this will be improved with the new Seals and the new Sea Lion 07. That's certainly one area the BYD need to work on. So we'll keep an eye on that.
And if things weren't confusing enough, there's also a Seal 06 GT coming out by September. Now that's supposed to be the equivalent of a hot hatch.
Oh,
so if that happens, then we've got Seal 06, we've got Seal 07. So hatchback and sedans will be Seals and others will be Sea Lions, just a bit more bloated version of the Seals. But yeah, let's find out what happens. But exciting couple of months for BYD.
Yeah, I mean, the marine theme I can deal with, but Seal, Sea Lion, they're pretty similar words. 07, 06, like it's starting to get very close and jumbled. So just a tip for BYD, just you got to differentiate these a bit more for us puny minds, or my puny mind anyway, to work out. Yeah. Let's take a few comments before we move on. So Ray's asking, what do you think of the MG Cyberster? I was invited to the media event on Monday. I couldn't quite make it, but hopefully MG will loan me one of these cars to drive around. So that'll be fun because, it's one thing to see it in the showroom looking pretty. You really got to get it out there and test it on the open road and charge it as well. So stay tuned. Hopefully we can get that soon.
The only person we know, a good friend of the show, that's actually driven it is Elliot in China.
Of course.
And he seemed to really enjoy that car. So hopefully, MG Australia, if you're listening, got to get Tom behind the wheel. Got to get Tom in one of those two seats in that car.
And Riz in the other one. We'll take it for a spin for you. No problem.
Hey, Sydney to Canberra and back.
That's the gold standard. Get those polys looking, because that's, Sydney to Canberra. That's where it's at. Yeah, and let's keep going with the comments. All right. Yeah. Yeah, reviews of the CCS2 to CHAdeMO adapters. Yeah, I'm seeing. I'm not sure it's it's on AliExpress or something, isn't it, Riz? From memory, last time we chatted about this. So on eBay, something like that, you can buy these things.
Yeah, Temu, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So basically, anyone that wants it, they want to test one, test it out, and let us know. Send us some videos and.
That's right. Yeah, not too many CHAdeMO cars at the moment, but CCS2 seems to be the standard at the moment, a de facto standard for charging. All right, let's move on. And we've got a bit of a serious issue 55 minutes into the show. Let's chat about this. So this is thanks to Scott McGregor, who was on earlier. And he's happy for me to share this email from Fair Trading, New South Wales Fair Trading, about the Atto 3 and Tesla supercharging issue. So you might have seen my video with the BYD Seal, getting a fix for the Tesla superchargers, V3, V4. That seems to be working okay. So we're asking about the Atto 3 as well, whether the fix is coming for them. So Scott's been following this up with New South Wales Fair Trading, and let's read this reply that he got. So it says, we contacted Mr. Brad Wilson, after sales manager from BYD, and Mr. Wilson told us that when you purchased your vehicle in 2022, referring to Scott's Atto 3, Tesla superchargers were not available to other electric vehicles. In January 2023, Tesla opened 5 of its supercharger locations out of 50 to non-Tesla vehicles. In August 2023, Tesla expanded this to 30 out of 63, switching from version 2 to version 3. BYD Seal went on sale October 2023, and they became aware of a compatibility issue with the version 3 superchargers. Tesla added the additional logic in the charging communication protocol in changing from V2 to V3, and this was the main reason for the compatibility issue. Tesla's recent upgrade to V4 contains the same charging protocol as V3. BYD Australia has offered a free upgrade for the Seal model only. Well, that's more information than I've heard, Riz, so far. That it's free for BYD Seal. There you go. That's in writing. New BYDs manufactured after this date will be tested locally to ensure compatibility with available charging networks at that point in time. And this is the critical point here. BYD Australia does not intend to retrofit or upgrade Atto models manufactured prior to this date to match the latest available charging configurations. Vehicles manufactured prior to the change remain compatible with other electric vehicle charging networks. So again, I'll read that out to you. BYD Australia does not intend to retrofit or upgrade Atto models manufactured prior to this date to match the latest available charging configurations. Riz, what do you make of this? I think there'll be a lot of Atto 3 owners who will be disappointed with that news.
Yeah, it's it's a bit hard to say because I think there's a couple of things in this. One being that the Atto 3 owners purchased a vehicle. Yes, it's partially correct that at the time when the vehicle started to be delivered to customers in 2022, the second half, Tesla superchargers were not open. We did test. I think you tested the Atto 3, Tom, at Bathurst.
Yep.
From memory, and it had a few issues and eventually did charge. And then obviously since then Tesla's opened up a whole lot more of their network. The challenge that I see here is that the Seal has a solution. You've gone through the experience, Tom. It seems to be a straightforward thing. I feel that the Atto 3 owners should be allowed to have, at least for those that are looking at traveling, that are looking at using the Tesla supercharger network, I think if the similar sort of fix is available to them, they should at least be offered it. I'm not saying it should be paid or free of charge or anything like that, but for those that are going to use that facility, it should be available as some sort of an option. But they're just my thoughts on the issue. I think the early BYD Atto 3 owners did put a lot of faith in the brand, and I think there's an opportunity to look after them from a point of view of at least having a solution available to them, or work with the team in China to come up with a solution that can work for those that are looking for it. A lot of people will be quite happy if they're going to use that the Tesla superchargers for driving around the country. They'd be quite happy to invest in a half an hour or whatever it takes to get the part into the car, even if it's $200 or whatever it is. But I think we need to have, there needs to be some option available to them, because those owners did take quite a big risk in trying out a new brand. And my argument always is, when Tesla, for many, many years, if you owned a Model S or an X in the early years of Tesla, even the early owners of Model 3, Tesla did a lot to look after customers, especially early adopters. And they continue to look after, if there is an issue, they try and get to the bottom of it. I think BYD is trying, but the early owners, there needs to be an option for them.
Yeah, well said, Riz. I agree with you there. I think, BYD, if they don't offer some sort of fix, whether it be free or warranted, I understand if it's not free, but certainly needs to be an option for those who want it. Not everybody's going to want this, not everybody road trips, but there's going to be a certain selection of people who want to road trip, and having the supercharger network there as a backup is critical. It's not the cheapest option, but it's certainly a great reliable option if you do road trip. And we've got 10,000 plus Atto 3 owners in Australia. That's a lot of people who look at this and go, well, that's disappointing. We purchased this car in good faith. And to have writing like this that says we do not intend to retrofit or upgrade, I'd be pretty upset, pretty shattered, knowing that the Atto 3 I've got will not be able to charge at V3, V4 superchargers moving forward.
So here's another take on this, Tom. If you can't find a solution to a problem locally, then what do people do? They jump online, they will find a solution, it will get shipped from wherever, it might not be a genuine part, it will get fitted with by somebody who may not be qualified to do it, and then it creates a whole lot of other issues that could have been resolved because there was an option, a genuine option available. I'm not sure of the whole dashcam experience with BYD, but I believe that in China they have some sort of a BYD official dashcam available. Is that the case, Tom? Or have you heard of anything like that?
Well, yeah. I mean, when I got my Seal, I actually bought the official dashcam from AliExpress and installed it myself in my car because I think BYD did not ship the dashcam worldwide to non-China markets because of security issues, espionage, all that stuff. I was happy to do it myself. I mean, dashcam is one thing; like it's fairly simple. If you stuff it up, it's not a big deal. But I don't know about fiddling with charging, infrastructure and charging wiring. It's pretty serious stuff. You don't want someone who doesn't know what they're doing to muck around with your car. You would want, for the protection of your brand, you would surely want your in-house service to do the fix for people, right? You would think as to protect the brand itself.
And that's my sort of concern in this, like sort of looking at it that way, because people that want it will find a solution, especially if it's available overseas, and that could lead to probably potentially more problems when, let's say, first customer that buys the car eventually sells it after getting whatever this retrofit is done. I'm not saying it exists. The second owner that buys the car on the used market may know nothing about it, and if that particular fix starts to cause some problems down the track, then it will come back to BYD on warranty.
Yeah.
So either way, they'll end up paying.
It's a disaster in the works. I think, hopefully this is just preliminary wording, and hopefully it will get clarified as time goes on. Let's get some opinions from the audience here. Matthew says that they keep referring to it as an upgrade. It really isn't. It's just remediation work to ensure the vehicles are compatible with the standard. Lewis says it's suboptimal. Have BYD been in touch? Yeah, no official correspondence apart from what Scott's shared with us here on the Fair Trading response. NB says Seal and Atto have the same warranty. Why is the Seal covered and not the Atto 3? Good question. Tassie Evie asks, so does that mean BYD could be taken to court to force them to make the change potentially? Yeah, I mean, anything's possible, right? You can take them to court, definitely. Ray says, BYD says they do not intend, does not mean no. It could mean they could do it later on if demand is there. I think the demand will be there. Jason says, you got to think this would hurt BYD brand, not upgrading Attos. Definitely. There's far more Attos in the country at the moment than Seals. Definitely. And Gene, as I put up already, says independent auto electricians could probably do the install if you source the part. Again, do you want someone else to do it? Wouldn't you rather someone from BYD do it for you? And Scott says no communication from BYD or a suggestion of an optional upgrade. The letter is a statement of dates info we already knew. Yeah, that's right. Steve says should be able to own an upgrade and costs. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, one thing is for sure, looking at this response, they're reading my driven articles then. Because when the first 5 went up, we spoke about it. When the 30 went up, we spoke about it. There was an interesting part in this. I think it's the line where it says, in August 2023, Tesla expanded this 30 out of 63 locations in Australia, switching from version 2 to version 3. Now, so is that referring to the fact that the new chargers that came online were version 3s as well as those original version 2s? I mean, they've just opened more of their network. It's the same thing. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of, yeah, I'm not
Yeah, that's
sure.
right. That's right, because it's not like, no, the wording there is not quite accurate. You're right, because the version 3s were already there. What it means that Tesla opened more locations to non-Tesla vehicles, um, and more version 3 locations, not just version 2. I think that's what they're trying to say. But the hardware was already there. It's not like they suddenly flicked the switch. So
It's new hardware, yeah.
yeah, I think the hardware predated the Atto 3s coming into the country. So it's not like a new change. So for you Atto 3 owners there, you could certainly argue the fact that it's not like Tesla suddenly changed their network. That was already there in the country. So
Well, I remember in August, I had an MG4. It was one of those August or September. I had an MG4 and I tested it at one of those open superchargers at night and shared the photos here on the live stream. No dramas, and I don't recall Tesla changing any hardware across any of those. Like recent times, they've done so in New South Wales to make some of those sites upgrade from V3 to V4 because of the cable itself, but the hardware internally is roughly the same. So hopefully that does not intend to retrofit, means that there is some flexibility, and hopefully it also means that there is a legitimate pathway so people are not trying to solve a problem in a way that could potentially impact their vehicles, because as Elon often says, these cars stay on the road for a long time, and if we introduce really special paints, they will need to be fixed. Similar sort of analogy here. If they introduce new parts, they will eventually need to be fixed. And if the warranty is 6 years or whatever BYD says it is today, it's these retrofits or whatever may happen, if it's not done correctly through the proper service network, could potentially have an issue down the track.
Oh yeah, it could definitely avoid the warranty if you do it yourself. We'll talk about warranty in a second with the MGs. Interesting in a second. But so Eddie says our Atto 3 was 3 months old when this was discovered in August 2023. This is extremely upsetting. Our older e-Niro, Kia e-Niro, can charge at the V3s and V4. This is BS. I'll bring it up with the South Australia BYD owners group. Well, I suggest any Atto 3 owner bring it up with whatever forum you are part of, bring it up with your local BYD distributor or dealer. Like, this is quite a big issue. Personally, I think, even if you don't road trip, I think you should have a car that can charge the Tesla Supercharger if you do sell the car one day, because it'll definitely affect the value of your vehicle, particularly now that we know that the new Attos that come into the country can most likely charge at a Tesla Supercharger, right? Suddenly your car is different to the new Atto 3s in a huge way. So I do sort of encourage you to keep asking this question of BYD if you're an Atto 3 owner. NB says the Seal fix is a combination of hardware and software. Yep, it sure is. It took 30 minutes at BYD to get this done. It's not a huge labor intensive fix. It seemed to it was pretty quick from my understanding when I was there.
Quick question, Tom, and I think maybe it was asked earlier and I missed it, but have any other Seal owners been contacted?
Yeah,
Jason?
as far as I know, Riz, it was Steve Hunt, who's been on the show, and myself. I think we're the only two who've had this fix so far, and no formal communication that I know of. As an owner, I've not received any emails from BYD in a long time, actually, to be honest with you. Definitely nothing about the supercharger fix. So yeah, probably need more information for sure. All right, we'll keep our eye on this definitely. So yeah, time will tell, I guess, Riz, as the months roll on. Let's move on, and this is Zapped, Roland from Zapped, showing a right-hand drive XPENG G6 in Sydney. This was from earlier this month when I was away, but there it is there. Definitely in Sydney, in a warehouse somewhere, doing some testing. G6.
Well, I can't tell, Tom. I don't know how you can tell what car this is. There's a steering wheel. I look for a logo there. There's nothing. Look at it.
I see a little X there.
X marks the spot.
Yeah. Look, I'll be very honest, Riz. When I was in China with you, I guess we can say it now, but there was a little bit of fatigue at the end when we visited those stores in Hangzhou. Like they kind of all started to look very similar. You know, the Neo store, the XPENG store, even uh, it's a Huawei store where the
Yeah.
EVs were. Like, it's not a bad thing. Like, they're all actually very good quality, but we started to think, well, they're starting to look very similar, which is good. Like, you get a pretty high standard when they come from China. So, there's got to be something that differentiates them all between
I,
XPeng, ZEEKR, Huawei, Neo. Yeah.
yeah, I think so. Last month, Neo had a phenomenal month in China and actually globally. And I think a lot of the sales actually came from China itself. And a lot of it is to do with the customer experience. We've just come from a story where we're talking about potential customer dissatisfaction to having a brand that is all about customer satisfaction. And Neo goes above and beyond from everything that I've heard. They've got people that come and take your car from wherever it's parked to get it serviced and bring it back to you if it
Mm.
needs a service. They've got people that will come in China and take your car, swap its battery, and return it back to you. They've got valet parking at airports. They've got a whole lot of other things. They've got Neo lounges. We never got to go to a Neo lounge, maybe next time.
Mm.
But that customer service and that constant attention to detail on the customer, I think that's going to be the differentiator with all of these brands moving forward as they enter the Australian market. So, ZEEKR, XPENG, Smart. I mean, I've lost count already.
Mm.
If you're listening, customer service, especially in the early days, you have to build your brand. You have to ensure that the customers get looked after. These people are investing a lot of money and have a lot of faith in a new brand that they don't have any experience with. You got to look after them.
Yeah, so true, Riz. Well said. Yeah, I mean, customer service is first, second, and third. At the end of the day, otherwise it's just metalwork, on wheels, right? It's how you look after your customers, particularly your early adopters, the people that put faith in the brand. We've just touched on BYD, but hopefully the other brands will learn from this and go, well, you know what? It's quite a vocal community in Australia with EVs. It's still a new product. You've really got to look after the customers that have invested their money, that hard earned into a new brand. So, yep, there you go. Neo, XPeng, all these cars coming into Australia potentially. Yeah, that's the difference between each other. Moving on, we've got another XPENG Spotted. Thanks, Jason, for tagging us. XPENG G9 in left-hand drive at Wollongong. Looked quite good, to be honest. They said so. Yeah, I mean, the XPENGs do look very good from what we saw in China. So, yeah, looking forward to testing these out on our roads.
Hmm.
Another brand, ZEEKR. So this was spotted in Sydney, the ZEEKR X, which is definitely coming to Australia. There it is there in right-hand drive. Again, they start to look pretty similar after a while, but which is good. They're pretty good quality, like very high standard. We'll see what each brand does to win your bucks to buy their car in coming months. So it'll be very good. I think competition is good for consumers. Drives the price down, improves service. It's exciting times, definitely, in Australia. Sticking with ZEEKR, so here we go, the ZEEKR Mix. We kept asking about this, Riz, in China. What are the plans for the ZEEKR Mix for global markets? This is a fascinating vehicle. If you don't know much about the brand, you would think this is like a big people mover, right? Big 7-seater.
Like the ID Buzz.
Yes.
Or the...
You think it's like that, but it's not actually that big. It's actually more like a big SUV size.
It's pretty cool. Like you said, Tom, we kept asking about it, and we saw a couple in camo. Hasn't got that pillar in the middle. It's got, it's become, this is the lifestyle vehicle that the Chinese OEMs or EV makers are trying to get to, where people should be able to take this on their weekends and go to places where they would not normally go to, basically live out of the car. It's pretty cool. Would love to sort of see it. It was originally sort of showcased at the Beijing Auto Show this year in April, When we were there in June, we asked about it. We saw a couple of these cars in camo, but yeah, seeing the pictures like sort of what it could do, very, very cool.
Yeah, I guess whether it ever passes ADRs in Australia with no B-pillar and swiveling seats, unlikely in its current form, but yeah, pretty cool sort of lifestyle vehicle, maybe even an airport shuttle or high net worth individual shuttle between sort of work appointments. So yeah, pretty fascinating stuff. Moving on with more cars coming to Australia. Smart 1, Smart 3 price for Australia from $54,900. I just want to point out Neil's comment here. Neil's been on the show too. A Tesla Model 3 in the ACT is $57,000 on the road. Smart 1 is only $3,000 less. Yeah, I guess the question is, Australia, Tesla Model 3, Model Y is still kind of the pricing benchmark that we all sort of anchor on, we gauge other cars on. Riz, you would say that, right? Tesla's still like the pricing benchmark at the moment in Australia.
I think that's the key, and in some of the delays, I'm not saying by certainty that Kia EV5 that is the reason why they're working out the pricing, but you have to benchmark against what is the best seller in the market, and price is a key factor. When people think of electric cars, they do think of Tesla as one. Obviously, BYD is building their brand, so that's another one. And when new brands come into the market, I think where Smart is trying to be slightly more innovative or different than the rest of them is, I think they're going to be targeting the Mercedes customer that is looking for. So BMW owns Mini. So those that want a smaller car and want BMW quality want the Mini, which you got to see, Tom, in China, the new one as well in the shopping center. Maybe that's the market that they're going with. So this is basically Mercedes' equivalent of a Mini. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious to drive one of these actually. They look pretty good. And look, you could probably argue it's a premium brand, Smart, I guess. It certainly is for that price. Yeah, not everybody wants a Model 3 or Model Y, so some people are prepared to pay a bit more for something different. So
the premium here, according to their importer, I think they're called LSH Auto, that own a couple of Mercedes dealerships in the country, is that it's supposed to offer a level of luxury that you won't find in this sort of segment. I don't know how much convincing that's going to do for people looking at getting their first EV, but who knows? Maybe they'll buy a Mercedes EQE SUV and buy a Smart one for their kids. Who knows?
With the spare change, right?
Yeah, with the spare change that they have, that was just gonna fall out of the pocket anyway.
That's right. It was going to be wasted anyway. Might as well get a Smart EV. Yeah, we'll see. A few questions from the audience. Enzo asks, do I have to drive my Model Y as close to zero so the BMS knows where zero is? No, I think charging 100% probably is more important. Yeah, you can cycle it if you like down to zero to do a full calibration, but I don't want you to get stranded somewhere. So I think charging to 100% is probably more important for calibration. Kangaroo TV says Ioniq 9 is coming out soon. It's got barn doors as well. Okay, keep an eye on that one. And makes a good point. Growing number of people who want anything but a Tesla. That's not it's a good comment because it is distracting. As good as Tesla is as a vehicle, its CEO, his views sometimes is a distraction on getting people into an EV. So it's good to have other brands if you just want an EV. Yeah, how can I say this? Yeah, the choice is good. Not just having a Tesla as the main brand. We've got more brands on the market now, Chinese EVs, European brands coming into. So yeah, it's good for EV adoption moving forward. Yes, the Smart number 1 built on the EX30 platform. I think it is. That's right, isn't it? Yes, from memory. So good point there. Okay, we'll keep pushing on. There's a few more things we want to talk about. So we talked about warranty issues earlier. So the MG has increased its warranty of the electric car battery system, including the motor and electronic control system, for the entire life of the vehicle. So we're talking about the powertrain, a lifetime warranty, which is pretty impressive. So that's how much confidence they have in the car. Not bad.
Fantastic.
Yep. First to
Now,
market on this. Hopefully
do we
others will
know
follow.
if this is available in Australia yet, or like that's the global news? I think that's great.
Yeah. I don't know if it is worldwide. Don't know. It says TH/EN. Not sure what that means. Up here.
Thailand
Thailand? Yeah,
Yeah.
could be.
could be, yeah.
Yeah, if it's worldwide, that's fantastic. All right, we'll keep an eye on that one. EV Autocharge. Yes, we talked about that already, but my video is coming tomorrow, so check that out. It's very easy to use. It will change the game when it comes to EV charging for non-Tesla EVs. Sydney EV asks about the new EV Ute, the Tembo EV, coming to Australia. Is that right? 75,000.
Apparently, there's talks of it, single cab and dual cab. I mean, doesn't look like a Hilux one bit from back here, but yeah, hey, if there's an option, that's good.
Yeah, we want more Utes. I mean, I think the tradies will get on board if it's affordable and if the range is reasonable, and there are tax incentives, I guess. Then we might see a switch. Once you convince the tradies, then who knows what might happen with adoption in this country. Last few things to talk about. So thanks, Scott. I think you're on the chat as well tonight. Roving EV reporter spotted in Florence. Speaking of small EVs, Riz, Citroen Ami EV
Hey.
plastic outer, 46-mile range, 4-hour recharge. There you go. That's tiny, that thing.
We're talking about the congestion charge earlier, or the EV zones in the UK. If we had something, like a proper EV zone, and we had dedicated lanes for little microcars like these, that would be pretty cool around the city, because you don't need to go fast, you just need to get around.
Good for maybe food delivery guys as well. These little things. Yeah, I'm not sure these will ever come to Australia, but
No.
pretty cool. Pretty cool if you're in Europe or some parts of Asia. They might be useful. Thanks, Kangaroo Island. Tembo is a Dutch company made in China. Thank you. Yep. And a couple more articles. Riz, Mercedes doing an about face with EVs, investing in petrol-powered cars.
That's the headline. I guess part of the reason is that their EVs aren't selling all too well. So I mean, we keep going back to that trip, the Mercedes EQE trip to the chauffeur trip from Melbourne Airport to the Melbourne EV show,
Yes.
and it was premium, but it was not that premium. And I think that people have higher expectations when it comes to electric or anything from that brand. And I think people are looking at other options.
It's interesting though, because the BMWs are selling reasonably well with their EVs in Australia compared to Mercedes, and that's not cheap either. So what is it that BMW are doing that Mercedes aren't doing quite right?
I think the BMW product itself is very close to its ICE product. So when people go and look for a car, let's say they're buying the X3. If they look at the iX3, it's only a couple more $1,000 more than the standard X3. People are, well, that's the trend. We might as well get one. Plus, it's, what looks nicer in Toorak or, wherever other wealthier suburbs they are around the country. So that's what people do. And the BMW product, I think, is, as much as a lot of it is based on the ICE product, they've got better infotainment systems. They've got some of them offer 22 kilowatt AC charging, so very quick.
That's right.
As well, including some of the slower ones. I think I had a BMW iX2 a couple of weeks ago, and it has the 22 kilowatt AC. And yeah, the fit and finish is very good. And a lot of the cheaper models, like the iX1 and iX2, are built in Germany. So yeah, BMW is doing a lot of those things right, and they are stealing customers from Audi and Mercedes when it comes to EV sales.
There you go. So price is a big factor as well. As you said, they're not that much more expensive compared to like the EQEs. This thing is really expensive compared to the equivalent Mercedes ICE platform. So There you go. That's what Mercedes probably need to do. Let's finish up with this story, Riz. Toyota supports STEM students racing to a more sustainable future. What is a sustainable future according to Toyota, Riz?
Well, it's clearly, I don't know. I guess they're investing in the future, like Happy Meals, where you tell people that this is where you need to come when you want a sustainable car, because by 2050 we may have some good electric offerings. I mean, look, we shouldn't make a big joke out of this, because it is good. Any sort of STEM sort of education and competitions and things to get young people engaged in science, technology, engineering, and maths is a good thing. I just think if they invested a little bit more on top of this, invested a bit more in actually bringing in some compelling EVs. We saw them in Hangzhou. We saw the taxis there. There were Toyota taxis with
BZ3s.
BYD, BYD underpinnings. If they offered that at, even let's just say $40,000 to $45,000 in Australia, they would get tens of thousands of customers. That shows that whatever money you're putting into initiatives like this for the students, it's actually translated in the products that you sell. So, yeah, I mean, that's just my 2 cents, but hopefully Toyota decides to bring some of those vehicles into our market as well.
Yeah, that's right. And you look, jokes aside, good to see Toyota spending money in secondary schools. $100,000 grant for some secondary schools to compete in the World Qualifier Victoria Finals of Hydrogen Grand Prix. Look, obviously we would prefer this to be EV, but STEM is STEM. Encouraging people to get into those subject streams. Hopefully more girls as well coming into STEM subjects. That's always a good thing. All right, well, look, everyone, I think we might finish up there. I know it's been a long show, but look, we've been away for a few weeks, so I figured, Riz and I, it might allow us to gas bag a bit more than usual on the show, but we should be back to our regular scheduled Wednesday nights from now on. Whoops, just dropped my pen. Every week, every Wednesday night, so it should be good. 8 o'clock AEST. I just want to thank you guys and girls for joining us tonight on the stream. Great to see 150 viewers at the hour and a half mark. Riz, thank you so much again, as always, for your time.
Awesome to have you back, Tom, and our viewers, keep sharing all the articles and the things that you see. And we'll continue to make sure that, we fight a good fight, and we keep sort of promoting electrification. So thanks, everyone, and thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Riz. Yes, thanks, everyone. And as Riz said, tag us on socials, on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, if you're watching from there, and send me an email anytime, tom@ludicrousfeed.com. We will definitely keep those articles going on our Wednesday night stream. So thanks, everyone. And from Riz and myself, have a good night. And as always, happy charging. Take care.